Welcome back to NFL Draft Season Fantasy Pros. Today's episode, it's the penultimate NFC North Team Needs Part 7 of our 8-part series. But before I get to breaking down the team needs for the NFC North, if you want a chance to win a signed DeAndre Swift Bears jersey for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com, all you have to do is subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now, drop a comment below on any Fantasy Pros Dynasty podcast video, and that's it, announcing a winner on the podcast. So make sure to turn on those notifications so you can know when new videos are up and to claim your prize. Let's not waste any more time, get right into it. Kicking things off with the Chicago Bears. One of the biggest needs that the Chicago Bears needed to address this offseason was improving the offensive line. They got ahead of the free agency frenzy by acquiring Jeanty from the Chiefs for a 2026 4th-round pick. This was the second move they made during the offseason to improve the offensive line, having already acquired Jonah Jackson from the Rams for a different 6th-round pick. Ex-Falcons center Drew Dalman also joined Chicago on a 3-year deal. They are finally getting the much-needed protection for second-year quarterback Caleb Williams, who was one of the biggest winners after the first week of free agency. But this offensive line still might not be complete. Offensive tackle Braxton Jones is entering the last year of his rookie contract, and he could be upgraded from. The offensive line is complete from an overall perspective with 3 new starters, but they can still make it even better in the NFL draft. Take no chances, in my opinion. If Will Campbell from LSU is there or another high-ranked tackle, just take him. Potential round 2 targets include Donovan Jackson from Ohio State, Tyler Booker from Alabama, or offensive guard from Arizona, Jonah Savaiinaea. Besides that, though, I think that this pre-draft 2025 Bears roster looks pretty solid on paper. Shortly after the Falcons released defensive tackle Grady Jarrett, he signed with the Bears. They also signed defensive end Deo Ojigbo in free agency. So bolstering that pass rush alongside Montez Sweat seems like the most sensible move to make if they go away from doubling down on the offensive line in round 1. They have the second shortest betting odds to select a defensive line or edge prospect with their first overall pick, and that could be Georgia's edge Kel Williams or Texas A&M's Shamar Stewart as potential top 10 picks. Safety might also be an under-the-radar need. Shaquan Brisker has concussion history. Brisker and Kevin Byard are also in the last years of their respective deals. As is linebacker, TJ Edwards is in the last year of his deal to go along with the potential out in linebacker Tremaine Edmonds' contract. Texas safety Andrew Erickson fits the need in the back end. Georgia linebacker Jalen Walker might be the perfect fit for them if he falls to the 10th overall pick. I also want to make a point, in such a great running back class, I could see new head coach Ben Johnson wanting to get his guy. DeAndre Swift has an out in his contract after the season where he can be released for a very small dead cap hit. The Bears are heavy favorites to select a running back with their first pick, with the popular choice being Boise State's Ashton Jeanty. If they wait, or if Jeanty is selected ahead of them, they could draft someone like Iowa's Caleb Johnson, Arizona's Cam Scatabo, Brashard Smith from SMU, or even North Carolina's Omarion Hampton. The Bears also have 2 second-round picks at 39 and 41. Next up, the Green Bay Packers. According to ESPN's Dan Graziano, the Packers would have liked to add a veteran wide receiver to their roster this offseason. Makes sense, given the injury to Christian Watson, playing in a contract year, and Romeo Doubs also playing in the last year of his rookie contract after dealing with a flurry of concussions in 2024. But all the Packers have done so far is add Mecole Hardman. They're going to draft a wide receiver at some point, but history suggests it's not going to be in round 1, especially in a class that lacks premier alpha number 1 wide receiver prospects. It would be very ironic for them to finally select a wide receiver in round 1 in a lesser class. When asked about the wide receiver room, the Packers head coach and GM said they were okay with its current form, par for the course for a team that vomits at the idea of a true number 1 wide receiver. Although, there are still some options for them in this draft. Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden from Texas are 2 wide receivers they could consider at various points during the draft, with Golden being the round 1 pick who could break the mold for Green Bay. Maryland's Ty Felton and Ohio State's Emeka Egbuka are also alternative options. The Packers also need an impact-making pass rusher. GM Brian Gutekunst has been very clear with his goal to become better at pressuring opposing quarterbacks. At the scouting combine, Packers GM said via Yahoo Sports, "We need to affect the quarterback more in our front 4 with just 4 players. I'm excited about the guys we have in the room. We'll see if we have to add to it, but that's going to get better if we're going to accomplish the goals we want to accomplish in this season. As noted by LombardiAv.com, the team fired defensive line coach Jason Rebrovich at the end of the season, highlighting the need for change. DeMarcus Covington was hired as his replacement after spending 2017 through 2024 in several roles with the New England Patriots. Run stuffer Tadarill Slayton also left in free agency, signing with the Cincinnati Bengals. Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M and Mikael Williams from Georgia, James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee, LSU edge rusher Braden Swinson, and linebacker Jihad Campbell all could provide pass rush relief for the Packers. Ole Miss's Walter Nolan could also provide relief from the defensive interior. Cornerback Jair Alexander, his time with the Packers seems to have all but reached its conclusion. Even if he comes back to the team, he cannot be trusted to stay healthy. And with multiple depth cornerbacks gone, Eric Stokes, Corey Ballantyne, Robert Rochelle, the secondary lacks reliable depth. The Packers did sign former Raiders cornerback Nate Hobbs, but they still need more. Siobhan Ravel from ECU makes sense in round 2 at cornerback, along with Notre Dame's Benjamin Morrison or Ole Miss's Trey Amos. Round 1, if they go cornerback, could be Jahdae Barron from Texas. That's a Pat Fitzmaurice approved selection. Also, Elton Jenkins is expected to kick inside at center, with newcomer Aaron Banks filling at guard, so I think the offensive line for the Packers is in a good spot. But before I get to the next two teams, guys, we have to talk about the Fantasy Pros Dynasty Rookie Draft Simulator. Our draft simulator lets you complete a mock in just minutes with no waiting between picks, customize your league settings to match your league's exact format. Premium subscribers can test trade scenarios by mocking with their traded draft picks, prepare for rookie drafts and Dynasty Startup drafts all in one place. Use the Dynasty Rookie Draft Simulator to dominate your rookie draft today at fantasypros.com/simulator. Now, let's get back to the show. Bringing it back with the Minnesota Vikings. The Sam Darnold, J.J. McCarthy discourse finally reached its conclusion during free agency. Minnesota is ready to roll with J.J. McCarthy, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, after Sam Darnold signed with the Seattle Seahawks. J.J. McCarthy is going to start behind a revamped offensive line. Center Ryan Kelly and offensive guard Will Fries were both signed during free agency to bolster the offensive interior after they moved on from underperformers such as Garrett Bradbury, Ed Ingram, and Dalton Reiser. The Vikings could also add one more interior offensive lineman at left guard to complete the rebuild up front. BYU's Caleb Etienne, Oregon's Josh Connerly, Ohio State's Donovan Jackson, Purdue's Marcus Bowe, or Arizona's Jonas Savania are notable draft options. But they will eventually have to add somebody else to the quarterback room. J.J. McCarthy is coming off a serious injury, and the only other quarterback they have on the roster is Brett Rippon. The team wanted to bring back Aaron Jones, so they inked him on a 2-year deal to stay with the Minnesota Vikings. Running back Jordan Mason will back up Jones after the Vikings were able to work out a trade with San Francisco to acquire the running back. They signed Mason to a 2-year deal worth $10.5 million. But given the Vikings' lack of draft capital, they only have 4 picks from the 2 inside the top 100, it seems very much like a stretch to see them drafting a rookie running back before day 3. Considering this is a team needs show, I have to take the low-hanging fruit here. Minnesota probably needs to trade down at some point and stockpile more picks in this draft. The Vikings desperately need quarterback depth, given the departures of Stephon Gilmore and Shaquille Griffin, who are entering free agency. However, they signed quarterback Isaiah Rodgers in free agency and retained Byron Murphy on a 3-year contract extension. They also signed Jeff Okudah and Tavierre Thomas to 1-year deals. But depth, I think, is still needed, given that Mekhi Blackmon is coming off a torn ACL injury that forced him to miss the entire 2024 season. Ole Miss cornerback Trey Amos, Texas cornerback Jahdae Barron, or ECU Siobhan Ravel are potential targets. The Vikings were favored in the betting market to select the cornerback with their first pick, but I thought it was a sneaky spot for safety to come off the board when they made their selection. I bet this when it first came out, and the odds have since shifted to a tie between the Vikings going cornerback or safety with their first overall draft pick. Again, just another reason to be part of the Betting Pros Discord, where you'll be notified as soon as I fire on any bets for the upcoming NFL draft. The Vikings lost safety Cam Byam to the Colts in free agency, and Harrison Smith isn't getting any younger. Safety Jotham Tellis is also in the last year of his contract. I will say that the Vikings re-signing safety Theo Jackson was an under-the-radar move. He was very solid on a small sample size last season, and is also upgraded with defensive tackle Jonathan Allen and 2-time Pro Bowler defensive tackle Javon Hargrave across the interior defensive line. But these guys are a bit on the older side, so an injection of youth in the defensive interior I think is still a must. Oregon's defensive tackle Derek Harmon Texas A&M defensive tackle Shamar Turner make a ton of sense as a potential interior fits. Last but not least, the Detroit Lions. Defense let the Lions down in the back half of 2024. Losing Aiden Hutchinson was a major blow, and Detroit cannot afford to enter this year without more pass rush juice. Former Cardinals nose tackle Roy Lopez was added for interior depth, along with defensive tackle Levi Onwuzurike. But they're both on one-year deals. The defensive tackle signings were ideal, given how poor they were in between the tackles defensively. This class has a ton of great defensive line edge prospects, so it's a great problem to have for Detroit. But this hasn't gone unnoticed by the majority of the sportsbooks, with Detroit listed with very high odds to select a defensive line/edge prospect with their first overall pick. They're some of the highest juiced odds of any team to position listed among the sportsbooks. Some options include Texas A&M's Shamar Stewart, Ohio State's Jack Sawyer, Texas A&M's Nick Scarton, and Auburn's Jalen McLeod. But if we want long shots, the Lions have also shown interest in Alabama linebacker Jahad Campbell. And if he were to fall due to this shoulder injury, it would be hard to see Detroit not pulling the trigger based on him being the best player available. In addition to the trenches, the secondary needs love in Detroit. The Lions secondary struggled in 2024, allowing the third most passing yards per game to opposing quarterbacks. Cornerbacks Carlton Davis and often injured Emmanuel Mosley are gone, and Amik Robinson is in the final year of his contract. They did sign DJ Reed, but another cornerback is needed. Iowa State cornerback Darian Porter is an interesting option, along with Kentucky's Maxwell Hairston. According to Sports Illustrated, offensive guard Graham Gaslow's performance also declined in 2024. He allowed 36 pressures and earned a Pro Football Focus grade of 57.9, highlighting the need for an upgrade. Kevin Zeitler also left the team, signing with the Titans in free agency. North Dakota State's Gray Zabel would be an ideal fit, along with Arizona's Jonas Savanaya and Ohio State's Donovan Jackson. Quick recap of the final NFC North team needs: Chicago Bears, edge, safety, linebacker, and running back; Green Bay Packers, cornerback, edge, wide receiver, and defensive tackle; Minnesota Vikings, cornerback, safety, interior offensive line, quarterback, and defensive tackle; and lastly, Detroit Lions, edge, offensive line, cornerback, and wide receiver. Those are the top team needs for the NFC North heading into the 2025 NFL Draft. If you found this helpful, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. And let me know in the comments, do you agree or disagree with the team needs for the NFC North? And what does your team need to do in the upcoming NFL Draft? But before you do, you have to check out the Fantasy Pros Dynasty Rookie Draft Simulator, where you can run a full rookie mock draft in just minutes with no waiting between picks. Premium users can even test trades using their actual draft capital. Customize your league settings, crush your rookie or startup draft prep now. fantasypros.com/simulator.